Hi there, Pastor Aaron again. Apparently the video that I recorded for our Sunday service did not have any sound attached to it. So I'm just going to go ahead and just briefly go over what I've spoken of so that way you can hear it and we can still be have this together in ourselves. I'm talking about Matthew chapter 8 today, and starting at verse 18. So Matthew 8 at verses 18. It says, "When Jesus saw great multitudes about him, he gave a command to depart to the other side. Then a certain scribe came and said to him, 'Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go.' And Jesus said to him, 'Foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head.'" What I wanted to impress upon us today was a couple things. Number one, who this scribe was. This scribe was not a disciple of Christ already, but he was someone who was known. These scribes were known for writing. When you would transfer a document to make another copy of it, you had to go by hand. There was no printing presses. There was no computers and printers or anything of the sort. So they would manually write. And so these scribes were known and well known for this. And it took a great skill to be that accurate. But he comes to him in a few things. He calls him teacher. Now, although Jesus was a great teacher, that's not really who he is it? He is our teacher, but more than that, he is our master, he is our savior. And so it shows that this scribe did not understand the fullness of who Christ was. Now, secondly, we have Jesus' response to him. Jesus' response was, foxes have nests and holes. Foxes have holes, birds have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. He wasn't telling them that to be mean. He was telling them to get him to understand, like, look, as a Son of Man, you're following me. It's not an easy trip. It's not going to be something that'll be simple. It's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging. You have to give up so much to follow me. And that's what he was trying to tell him. In our lives, I know personally, mine and my wife's lives, we had to struggle with many things this past year. And it just came to a point of where we had to say, all right, God, I surrender to you. I give you everything. And so when we do that, then we can follow him in truthfulness. Because we understand that, hey, he says, I don't even have a place to lay my head. So it's not that Jesus was not taken care of. Of course, God always provided. He provided housing. He provided shelter when it was needed. If they had to sleep outside, that's what they did. But God always provided. And at the end of the day, that's what we need to take from this particular part is, are you willing to follow him? This cost of discipleship, are you willing to follow him, pay the cost, even when it means that we will have to forego many of our, I hate to call them luxuries because we don't view them as luxuries, we view them as necessities. But when we have to forego these things and just trust that God's going to take care of us. The second part of this is then the next 21 through 22. So this is chapter 8 again. I just read 18 through 20. Now let's read 21 through 22. "Another of his disciples said to him, 'Lord, let me go first and bury my father.' But Jesus said to him, 'Follow me and let the dead bury their own dead.'" That seems kind of harsh, doesn't it? He said, "Oh, just let the dead bury their dead." But you got to understand, this burial process was it wasn't just saying, my father is lying cold on the bed and I just got to pick him up and put him in a hole in the ground and bury him. No, this would have taken months, if not years, to get through all of the processes for preparing the body to be buried, for dealing with finances. If anyone is listening has ever lost somebody, and you have had a part of dealing with the aftermath of that, especially finances and things like that, you know how difficult it is. And so he was saying, let me do this first. And Jesus said, no, let the dead bury their dead. You follow me. Reminds me of the other time in scriptures. He said, if you're going to follow me, first you must hate your father and hate your mother. And he wasn't saying that, you actually have to hate them, because that's, of course, sin, is to hate. But, hate another person anyway. But he was saying that your love for me, your dedication to me, should be so strong that it looks like hate to the rest of the world for everybody else. And so when this disciple of his, who was already a disciple, who already saw the miracles of God and things like that, he said to him, well, let me just, before we continue on, before I go with you beyond this point, because they were obviously still in that hometown of that person, before I go with you to the next part, let me just deal with some things first. And Jesus says to him, no, you need to follow me, give it all up. And so that's what I would like to say for everyone listening and watching a part of this is, are you willing to pay the cost of discipleship? That cost may be you need to give up everything you have. Are you willing to give up everything to follow after God? Many times we say, oh yeah, of course I am. Are you sure? If God calls you to live where you have no home, where you have where you don't have any security, are you still willing to live with there? My wife and I have been dealing with a lot this past year, and what God's really been pushing through with us is He's been saying, do you trust me? Do you trust me? As parents, we have a natural desire. We want to leave a legacy for our kids. We want to leave them money. We want to leave them things that they can inherit and be prosperous in their lives. But God is asking, are you putting that first, or are you going to put me first? I'll take care of you. That's what He says. I'll take care of you. And so if we're putting these other things first, it's not that there's a problem with working hard and earning money or having nice things, but are we putting that before God? Is God suffering when we go and we're seeking after things of this world? Is God suffering? I hate to say it, sometimes people even will get so involved in their church. And I'm not pointing fingers here. I honestly don't have a name or a faith that I'm thinking of. But there are those times where I've seen it, where people will give so much to the church that they will sacrifice their own relationship with God. And that's the most important thing. Fellowship with God, fellowship with Christ. Are you seeking after Him first? Don't let the other things get to you. There's nothing wrong with a man wanting to bury his father and being a part of that. But when it comes between that person, when it came between that disciple and Jesus, that's when it became a problem. We must have our priorities straight. God must come first in all things. So thank you. This was a very short recap of my message, and I'm sorry that the message itself posted without any audio. That was no one else's fault other than mine. We just were having technical difficulties. But I would ask, this year, 2024, is the year of prayer, and this month I'm asking for us all to join together to pray for certain things. So this week of this month, I would like us to pray starting from today, the 7th, all the way to the 13th, which is Saturday. I would like you to pray for your pastor and his family, to make wise decisions, to be led by God, and for all these things. We need you. It's not just a selfish thing that we want prayer. It's we need you to hold us up and lift us in prayer. It's absolutely crucial. And so I thank you for taking time to listen today. And again, I'm sorry that the live stream didn't work out, but thank you for watching. And God bless you and have a wonderful rest of your day. We're still planning on having service tonight at 6. Yes, 6. So if you can make it, please come. But if it's at all going to put you in danger, or if you're not comfortable driving, there's still a bit of ice out there. So if you're not comfortable in driving, please stay home and just join us live stream. We'll have everything worked out by then, so this won't happen again. But anyways, thank you for being a part of this, and God bless you.